Alex Revell, I guess there's no better starting point than last night in the youth team.
Yeah, brilliant result for the guys. We all watched it. I thought it was a top performance from everyone, and some really good, outstanding performances from them. And I think it's been a cup in every round so far that there's been individuals that have turned up and shown what they can do. But last night, I felt as a team they really showed how far they've come and how hard the guys in the academy have been working. And fantastic result. And hopefully that they get the rewards in the next round with a really nice draw, and it's great for us to furthest we've gone. So it just proves again how hard everyone's working down there, and we're obviously delighted for everybody there.
I guess it's a special group, isn't it? They've been together with the same coach from under-13s, is it?
Yes, they are a special group, and I think that the biggest thing about the group is I think that what you can clearly see in that group is real athleticism. I think when you watch them, you can see their power, their pace, their togetherness, which is what this club's all about. And I also think that now, they've got that quality. They've worked hard. I think Nick and Jordan and everybody down there, Hughesy, have all worked really hard to connect that group, because it is a really good group. And there's a lot of players in that team that have had experience now with the first team as well. So it goes to show that when you have a group like that are winning, and they move closer to the first team because of that athleticism that they're showing. And the biggest thing is, how do you look at someone who's 17, compare them to a Cole Piagiani at 33, or a Jordan Roberts, and that's our team. So we have to make sure that group gets closer. Aesthetically and athletically, they absolutely look close to us. And with every win and with every opportunity that we train with them on Thursdays, and they come up, they get an opportunity to show how good they are. And it's been a really good cup run for them, and obviously for us as a club, it's great to see them doing so well.
Still, transfer window open, of course. Yeah. Silly season.
Yeah.
Lots of speculation, players in and out. Can you clear any of that up?
Well, obviously, yeah, I've seen the speculation. I think that we are close to bringing one in, and hopefully that we're looking within the next day. That would be fantastic for us. I think to get a new face in that's got experience and know-how, and wants to come and wants to play and wants to be involved in this group. So, we want to freshen that up, absolutely, with fresh faces and new competition and a new challenge. So we're hopeful of getting that done, hopefully today. Whether that's in time for Saturday, we don't know in terms of that, but we'd like to think it could be. And in terms of out, again, lots of speculation, and we're, players, there are interest in our players. There are this window. It's when players are performing, and especially with the start that we had, they put themselves on the map, and I think that it's going to attract interest from people. And then it's about deciding in terms of where we want to move forward as a club in terms of from this January. We know it's a really difficult month to sign players, but there's a lot of interest in our players, and if there's the right ones for the right players, then we absolutely look at them. But in terms of outgoings, the potentially one is again really close over the next couple of days, and that would be great for the player to go and play and go and show how good he is, and go and experience a new club, because we don't want to have people here that train really hard every single day, which they do. But it does get frustrating for players in January, because the end of the season seems so far away. And if they haven't had and they're up at the end of the season, I get their frustration that they want to play football, because you only get one opportunity. So we're mindful of that. But again, if people do leave, we've got to make sure that we replace them.
I guess one that falls into that bracket would be Nick Freeman, who's been such a Trojan for you.
Yeah, Nick. We've spoken a lot with Nick, and we actually, we spoke a lot with the clubs to make sure that Nick was sort of, we know Nick's quality. I think we've, in terms of space within this squad, we need to bring in other options. And we wanted to make sure that Nick was fit. We offered him a contract and something to make sure he got fit, and he did. And he's been training every day for the last 2.5 months now, maybe longer, and showing how good he is. And I think that showed what an ultimate professional he's been and what a character he is. But again, he's in a situation where he needs to play games. You know, unfortunately in football, you're quite easily forgotten about when you're not in the face of it. And he has too much quality, and he's too much of a character and an important person for us just to keep here and not allow him to go and play. And we're delighted for Nick because he's worked incredibly hard. And you know, I spoke to Michael Apperton and everyone there to say this. You'll love this boy when you see him, and they've taken him and he's gone and shown what he can do. So we're absolutely delighted for Nick because you know he's a good person and hopefully he goes on and has a really strong second half of the season.
And I guess we keep reading in the press of players coming and going, and you know, speculation from other clubs, and you don't know where this comes from. Can that hurt a deal?
I think it can. Yeah, it can hurt a deal, but I think that a lot of it that I've seen isn't true. You know, I'm on a hotline with my brother and sends me a lot of stuff, and a lot of the things aren't true. But I think that it's very hard to keep under wraps now because of how many people talk and agents and players, and you know, I think that you do so much work behind the scenes to find out about a player that inevitably someone's going to find out somewhere. And we've always been a club that tried to go innovative because as soon as a player it pops up that we're interested, alerts other teams, and this is what January does. It alerts other teams. You all of a sudden, and we've got to be really careful that doesn't happen. And we've had it happen in this window that we really liked a player, and the chairman allowed us to, you know, put a bid in, and then unfortunately it came out, and then player it gets gazumped by someone else. So we have to be really careful because we can't pretend to be, you know, someone we're not. We have to stay within what we can afford and what we can do. And yes, we want to strengthen, of course we do, and we want to help the players that are here. And like I said earlier, fresh faces, new challenges for people. It just lifts the group when someone comes in and there's another challenge and a new face. But we can only do that within what we can afford. And you know, there's teams above us that are spending incredible money, but we can't do that. That's not what we are, and that's not who we are. And we have to find the nuggets that are underneath that and really work hard with them to fit into this group.
I guess we better talk about on the pitch how things been since Saturday.
Yeah, there's a real disappointment. I think that the run of results causes frustration, it causes anger, it causes doubt in players. Of course it does, because they want to win. They're used to winning this season, and but I think you have to use that. You have to use that to your advantage. You have to use that as a group to keep pushing each other on, not to create cracks or opinions that aren't useful to the group. I think you have to use that. I think that's really important. One thing that I've always said, and this group works really hard, incredibly hard. You know, in this run of 9, we've lost 3 games, Cardiff twice, Luton away. That can happen. That can happen to any team. And in all of them games, we feel we could have done better. I think the draws that are the ones that have hurt us, especially when we've gone in and winning the game and we've conceded goals that have been disappointing. I'm not going to blame individuals, because that's us collectively, and we've got to make sure that we stick together. You know, the big thing for me is that if you even this season out of the start and even these wins and draws and losses, if we were sitting where we are right now, absolutely we understand first and foremost this run that we've got to get out of it, we've got to improve. Absolutely, first and foremost. But we're sitting here 1 win away from being in the top 6. We should be licking our lips, and we should be absolutely focused on doing the job to get into that. So, yes, recent form, recent results, they haven't gone our way. But the last thing we're going to do is chuck everything that we've done. That's not what it's about. It's not what it's about. We continue to do what we do, work extremely hard every day for each other, demand more consistency, demand levels that we work to. And you know what? When you do that, you turn a corner and it evens out. And that's what the big message has been for the players. And that's also been the messages between the players themselves. It's also taking accountability of certain situations and making sure that we stick together on the pitch. And, you know, at the start of the season, when we were on this run, we took chances. We didn't concede goals. We did not do that. We did it as a team. At the moment, yes, we've not taken as many chances and we've been punished for mistakes. We get rid of them. We go back on a nice run and we get back to being who we are. And that's been a real clear message for everybody.
Exeter, Saturday. I guess you've got to say it's a bogey club for Stevenage in recent years. And in fact, since we've been playing them, but they're going to be smarting themselves, aren't they, after last Saturday?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think Gary does an incredible job there. I really do. I think that they play a certain way that's really difficult to play against. I think that's results have recently shown that. And I think that, yeah, it's been a bogey club for us, 100%. But I've said the same about Stockport. That's been a really difficult place as a player for me and as a coach, you know, to go and get results. So ultimately, though, the history books are there to make sure that you change them. And we're really determined to make sure that as a group, that, like I said a minute ago, we're looking up and not looking at the what ifs. We've got to keep pushing on. That's what football does. If you look back, and we can look back and learn, but we've got to push forward, and that has to start on Saturday for us. In our performance, in our togetherness, in our defensive work, but most in how we move the ball, we attack, all of those things. We want to see the next step up, and ultimately we all know that, and we've got to keep pushing together, and we've got to change the history books for sure.
I guess we know there may or may not be an addition before Saturday. How's the rest of the squad looking?
Yeah, it's looking strong. I think with Butts has been back in now, which is great to see him, and he's still in a leg brace, but he's working, you know, hard behind the scenes. Obviously, Phil had a knock last week, and hopefully that he'll be able to travel with us, and he looks like he's moving a lot better, which is pleasing to see. So yeah, everybody that we've got available has been training really hard, and the competition's there, and they'll read things about people coming in as well, so they know that, you know, we're going to freshen things up. So, you know, that puts an extra edge on it. So you've got to go and perform, and I think that, you know, it's nice to have that competition back that we've seen all week in training, to make sure that we train a certain way here. It's always been the case. I've always seen it that we have to train a certain way leading into games. Christmas difficult because of the amount of games. But it's been much better this week in terms of our mentality, our commitment to doing it, the quality, and hopefully that reflects on Saturday.
Any special message to the fans who probably haven't had the results they were wanting over the last month or so?
Well, the message is that, you know, like I just said, that we're hurting because we don't want to be on a run of games that we have been, and it's more about, I think, for the first hour at Luton, I thought it was excellent. We just didn't take those moments that we had in the game, and we had to get through those 5 minutes, and we didn't. We conceded a poor goal, but it's about sticking together. It's about believing in the group. It's about managing kind of where we see this team, because they work extremely hard, and they're trying to absolutely every week to win. They're trying every week to win. The minute I didn't see that, then that's a problem. Absolutely. But they work incredibly hard for each other, for the club, to turn this around. And I think we also have to, we are where we are. We're in ninth place, one win away from getting back into that top six. So yes, we can all be frustrated without that. We all are, because of the start we had. But we have to keep moving forward together and stick together, and hopefully we can do that to reward everyone that's travelling, everyone that watches the game at home on Saturday, to get us back on track.